So how many people in this room are officers or something to do with Toastmasters?
Whoa.
And by show of hands, how many people have absolutely no problems with membership building? I gotta talk to you. Clearly an issue for a number of us. And there's not one but two presenters here today to tell us a little bit about membership building. Both of whom have to be very bright because they both made the decision to move to the West Coast from the Maritimes. That was my A piece of humor, and it actually worked a little bit. They both have extensive backgrounds in journalism. They both have impressive backgrounds in education and experience, and I won't go through all of it because there's just a lot to deal with. It's all laid out for us in the program, so I'll let you read it for yourselves. You can see from the coveralls and the other accoutrements that we're ready to do some work here today. So please join me in welcoming Isabel Southcott and Susan Biaggi for their presentation on membership building.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Isabel, why is it that every time I hear that song I think of Toastmasters?
I don't know, Susan. Maybe it's because I'm your hero and I'm a Toastmaster?
Maybe. Or maybe it's because heroes are leaders and Toastmasters excels in creating leaders.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. It absolutely does. We're going to take a look at a couple of really well-known leaders right now who have wonderful speaking skills. You notice that leaders have speaking skills. My clicking skills may not be that great.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to it,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
I'm Susan.
And I'm Isabel, and we love Toastmasters! We love Toastmasters so much that we want to tell everybody about the great program that Toastmaster has to offer. So that's why we wanted to do a session on membership building here today.
We come from an isolated community, Powell River, and it's only 20,000 people spread over quite a long distance. And so membership building has been a real challenge. And along the way, we've picked up some tips that we're hoping to share with you today.
I love Toastmasters so much that a few years ago I put up my hand in our club, which was then Sunshine Speakers, and said, I'll be the Vice President of Public Relations. So that means you're getting the word out. So with that job, we needed a lot of help because we were a failing club then. We had 15 members. So I was tasked with finding out why our membership had dropped to an all-time low and what I could do to reverse the trend. So at the time, we were meeting in an old safety room just inside the mill gates at Catalyst Mill. Okay? You had to go through security at the mill. You had to go to the safety room, which was half the time there was no heat in it. It was a free room. Free! Like, it was great. Yeah, it was free. But there was no heat and it wasn't clean. It was a dirty carpet littered with old coffee cups, and so it was an atmosphere. 15 members. But now keep this in mind. In 6 months, I led our club in a rebuilding exercise from 15 to 43 in a small, isolated community of 20,000 people.
Before we get into the presentation, we'd like to talk about logistics. Now, I see some of you are taking notes, which is wonderful. We will be sending this presentation by email to everyone who leaves their email address with us. You don't need special software. It just comes in your email and you can click your way through it. So you don't have to write down the websites. If you have cell phones today, please turn the ringers off. But we don't care if we see you texting. We hope you're texting. We're in the middle of a great presentation by Susan and Isabel on membership building. We're hoping you save your questions to the end. And if you write them down, we'll have 10 minutes and we'll answer them all at that time.
This is my Toastmasters Toolbox.
This is my Toastmasters Toolbox.
Every Toastmaster has a toolbox. Some Toastmasters are more familiar with their tools in their membership building toolbox than others are. So today we're going to go over some of the membership building tools that you have in your toolbox and you use, and we're going to introduce you to some other tools that you may not be quite so familiar with. So we're going to begin by getting your message out. And everybody here is a Toastmaster, so right now we're singing to the choir. But you need to get your message out about the great program about Toastmasters to those people on the outside world who don't know about Toastmasters. So the best way to do that is by working with the media. So it's incumbent upon Toastmasters, particularly your club leaders, your VP of Public Relations, to develop a good relationship with the media, with your radio, with your newspaper, with your community cable television. Before we really get into working with the media and the outside world, though, I want to make sure that everybody understands the difference between advertising and public relations. Can I have somebody give me a definition? Yes, you. Correct. Public relations. Tell me what public relations is, somebody.
It's information about your organization and your club and what they're up to.
Correct. And
It's usually free.
yes, that's key. That's what we want to know. So we understand that public relations is promotion about your club, organization, event, or whatever, but it's free. And advertising is something that you pay for. And in Toastmasters, most clubs that I know of don't have an advertising budget. Or if they do, it's very limited. So we're looking at getting our information out for free. So that's why it's really key to work with the media and understand how to get your message out in ways that are going to cost you very little or for free. So I am going to explain a little bit of something. What is this, Susan? That's Speedy.
Speedy Toastmaster.
It is a Speedy Toastmaster. So if you were selling this product, you would stand up and say, this is a Speedy Toastmaster. It is Canada's fastest Toastmaster. In less than 10 seconds flat, it will turn a white piece of bread into a golden brown piece of toast. Before you even have time to add cream to your coffee, your toast will be popping up. You'll never be late for work again. At just $29.99, supplies won't last, so you better hurry. So I have just popped up a testimonial, but in Toastmasters, we like to call them
Toastimonials. You can take that if you want. That's a freebie.
So why do we use testimonials? I have just told you about the benefits of the toaster, haven't I? I haven't told you about what it's made of and why all these other things, the different moving parts. But I've told you about the
wires are inside. You haven't told us anything.
No, but the benefits, what it can do for you, how it's going to simplify your life. So it's important to remember talking about the benefits of a product.
We're going to do a little exercise now. This is the interactive part of the workshop, one of them, where we're going to ask for 3 volunteers to come up and do a table topics exercise for 1.5 minutes each person to talk about a single benefit. They're in the hat. So if we have volunteers, you just pick it out of the hat.
We have volunteers. Do you want to close your eyes, Susan, and pick the first volunteer? Let me see where your finger lands. Okay, who are you?
That's like the bride throwing to the bridesmaid. I kind of knew I was going to pick Paula because she put her hand up first.
Okay, so we have Paula.
Networking.
And you have 1.5 minutes, Paula, and Jennifer's timing you.
Okay. Wow, well, when I first joined Toastmasters, I was a mom of a 2-year-old. I was stuck in a town of 150, and I didn't get out much. So joining Toastmasters expanded my network considerably. In fact, that's the majority of people that I network with now. It actually got my husband and I some clients. We have a small landscaping business, and at least 3 of the Toastmasters we've met on the small Sunshine Coast have become clients of ours. And I think more importantly, I'm friends with most of them. We do things together outside of Toastmasters. I've met people from Powell River and all over British Columbia, and it's made my life so much richer. I can't even begin to say, so.
Let's give Paula a hand, everybody. Thank you for your courage.
Paula. So, Paula, you just told us about clients and friends. Those are two things that you got out of Toastmasters. Wonderful. Do we have another victim? I mean, volunteer. Okay, this would be me. I'm going to go around. Oh, so I guess I'm pointing at you. Is it Norman? Yes. Norman, come on up. Yay. So we have a minute and a half, and Jennifer's timing.
Okay. Conquer fear of public speaking.
Very good.
Well, actually, I have an excellent personal story to tell you about my fear of public speaking. When I joined Toastmasters, I was at my own personal low. I was going through a divorce, I had lost my job, and I had an uncontrollable stutter. So you can imagine how well that went when I went to job interviews. I went to Toastmasters. After only 1 month, I got that stutter under control. But after 3 months, I became the president of the club. After 6 months, I said, why do I need to work for anyone else? And I started my own company. So Toastmasters not only got rid of my fear of public speaking, but it also built my confidence so that I could do anything.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Norman. Norman just shared his testimonial with us.
I'm going to pick the next one.
But let's just recap what Norman went from. From a guy who stuttered to president of anything he wanted to be, and then president of his own company. I mean, that's quite an amazing journey. Well done.
It's a journey that many of us take at Toastmasters, I'm sure, if we polled the audience. I'm going to pick the lady who knew the difference between advertising and public relations, if you would come up.
Debbie, who I met in the gym at the last Toastmasters meeting at 6 in the morning.
Yes. We're not sweating. Develop leadership skills. Well, this is arguable.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Develop leadership skills. Whether we like it, nobody gets to work in a vacuum. You have to work with other people. Now, you can call it leadership skills, or you can call it the power of persuasion. Either way, you need to get people on your team so that whatever it is you're doing is a cooperative and a cohesive adventure. Without the benefit of being able to lead or persuade, it makes life a lot more challenging, a lot more grief-stricken, and just not fun. So I have found having leadership skills, because I do multiple things, not just in my Toastmaster group, but I am a building manager. So I often have to persuade people to pay their rent on time, to clean up before the next fire inspection, otherwise we're not going to be able to share the same building, and to do various things that normally when they're not thinking about it, they don't understand why it is I'm not going to let them have a free hand. So leadership skills, power of persuasion, call it what you like, Toastmasters definitely helps you build this and develop it.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. Power of persuasion.
Who's familiar with toolboxes as well as a...
Well, if she's in charge of a building and has to get people to pay their rent, she'd probably have to use lots of tools at different times to make that happen. So when in Toastmasters we're looking for new members, Susan and I like to go mining for members. You've all gone mining for members at different times, I'm sure. You know about the benefits of Toastmasters, you can talk about them, but whose job is it to build membership in your club? Can you tell me? Everyone. Yes, right answer. Your leader in your membership building exercises, though, are your VP of Public Relations and your VP of Membership. And I look at these two, who are leading the group, as the fishermen. Public Relations puts that nice big fat juicy worm on the hook, throws it out there. And then membership reels it in, brings them in, and gets them to sign the application and right into the club. So it's a team effort. They're doing it together.
And there are 3 stages on the journey to becoming a full-fledged Toastmaster member. You start as a prospect, move into guest, and then finally become a member. And there are really 3 places to find prospects. You can find them in the general public through public relations. You can find them among your friends and family. And the lady who was speaking last night, she was brought in by your husband who needed a new member. So that's pretty common. And you can also find them in your list of former members. Now, I want to address specifically the list because people leave Toastmasters for a lot of reasons. And if they leave, it's not because they don't like Toastmasters anymore often. It's because they get too busy, they have children, or their job gets too busy. So you want to always keep a guest book of people who come to your meetings, and you want to look back over your former membership rosters and make sure that you're contacting those people. So if you're contacting somebody, whether it's somebody who used to be in the club or somebody you know in your family and you want to come, just pick up the phone and put that hook on the line. I just want to say, too, that when you put the hook on the line, you want to stress, as we were talking about, the benefits. You don't want to talk to somebody about the fear of public speaking if they have none. We get a lot of Toastmasters who are excellent speakers, but they might want to come for networking, or they may want to learn to speak English better. There are a lot of reasons. So you want to take the one reason that's going to appeal to that one person and stress that.
Exactly. How many of you remember the Toastmasters promise, that pledge you took when you became a new member? Can anybody recite it like off by heart? Oh, good, I'm not the only one. But Susan, isn't there a part in the Toastmasters promise where it says something about membership? Do you remember what it is?
Well, I think it says something like, I promise to bring members to my club. Each of us has made that promise.
Club and then turn them into members.
That's right, right. I just always focus on members.
Well, that's good, because you turn them into members. Very good. So when we're bringing guests into our club, we want to bring them into a nice, pleasant environment. And we'll go back to the club that I belong to, and when we were meeting in the old safety room at the mill. And that wasn't a nice, pleasant environment. Paula, if you came into, dressed as you are very nicely, and attended your first Toastmasters meeting in a dirty room, what would your impression be?
Gross.
Yes. I mean, the meeting itself might be good, lots of great energy, but the surrounding, the environment wasn't good. So after we looked at that, we decided to move to a different location, and we found a very nice meeting room in the school board office, and it was lovely. So we had a nice location to have our room. That changed all the energy. It was a huge shift automatically, because all of a sudden we felt good. It's when you, the same thing as when you dress nicely, we know how much better we feel than if we get out of bed and don't have a shower and put on our old sweats. We just don't feel as nice. So that was a huge difference. Another thing, if your membership is dwindling, something else to look at is the time of your meeting. Some clubs maybe have been meeting at 7 a.m. forever, but their membership is dropping. So they have to examine, is the time a problem now? So maybe they could shift their time and become a noon meeting or an evening meeting. And thirdly, there is the meeting itself. When we're kids, a lot of us got dragged to church, and we had to sit through some pretty boring sermons. I know I was one of them. But now that we're adults, we have the ability to make our own decisions. If we go to a Toastmasters meeting and it's like they're just so busy getting through their agenda, doing what they have to do, and it's not exciting and interesting and engaging, we'll go to that meeting and think, oh, you know what, that was kind of boring, and I don't have to be here. There's nobody forcing me to be here. It's not my parents making me come to church. So that will be it. We won't go back. So it's important to make your meetings like a showcase, a presentation.
I want to talk about the agenda. I'm going to bring one up. This is the official Toastmasters template for agenda. You can download it from Toastmasters International, and we're going to take a look at that site and look at all the materials you can download. Because, as you know, you're professionals. Professional people come to the meetings, so you don't want materials that look as if they've been done at the last minute and they're not centered. This is actually very easy to use. You just import it as a Word document, and you replace your names, your times, dead easy. I also want to talk about the time when you go from guest to member. That's when price becomes important. And you really have to know how much your club charges and what the price per meeting is. Now, all of us, when we attend seminars, we could pay $250, $350 for a single morning. You want to talk about that to business people. This is much less spread over the course of the year, and you want to know exactly what that cost is. Magazine subscriptions are probably, some of them, $80 or $90. We get a free magazine with ours. So if you're promoting the club, make sure that you tell them how good bang for buck you get.
When you're promoting Toastmasters to the outside world, it's important to remember this old marketing rule called the rule of 7. If you just use one means of communicating, you're only going to get one very small segment of the population. So, and just because what you've used in the past used to work in the past, it doesn't mean it's going to work in the future. 10, 15 years ago, people weren't promoting their stuff on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the other things. So you have to keep current with the forms of communication. It's important to remember that.
That's right. I'm going to go and get our flip chart.
Susan's going to bring up our flip chart, and we're going to talk about the different ways now to get your message out. And I know that a lot of you in the audience have had quite a bit of experience in promoting Toastmasters. So we'll ask you to give us some ideas, and Susan will write them down.
Does Susan have a pen, Isabel?
Susan, yes. Jennifer will bring a big marker up from the back. Here's a pen to use for now.
Okay.
So we have a few technical difficulties, but that's great.
For people, you'd think we'd be better at this.
Okay, so can somebody give me an idea of a good way to promote your club? What would you use? How to get your message out? Great, local newspaper.
Isabel?
Yes.
Traditional. I have a video to show about that.
My name is Ian Jakes. I'm the editor of the Coast Reporter here in Sechelt on the Sunshine Coast. We're located a 40-minute ferry ride away from downtown Vancouver. Toastmasters has asked me to provide some insight into how to get your nonprofit group's information into the newspaper. In a growing community such as the Sunshine Coast, there are a plethora of nonprofit community groups and associations trying to promote many events and activities for the general public to enjoy. Coast Reporter prides itself on being the voice of the Sunshine Coast and to give equal opportunity to as many groups as possible to get that word out. But space is always an issue, and with so many things to consider for the newspaper every week, it is always a challenge. We base a lot of our decisions on events that have a time-sensitive nature. So if you have an event happening this weekend, don't send in your press release 2 days prior and expect that it's going to get into the newspaper. The best person to contact is the editor. If he or she is not the correct contact person, they'll help you find the correct contact in their organization. Some basic guidelines to keep in mind when submitting are as follows. Give as much advance notice as possible. So that means contacting the newspaper at least 1 week prior to your desired publication date. Keep your release between 300 and 350 words and expect that it may also be edited further for length and or clarity. Submissions should also include a high-resolution JPEG color photo with appropriate caption. Photos always make the story look better in print and online on our website, so photos with stories are always accepted and appreciated. If you are a new group or association, or if you have made significant changes to that group or association and would like to see a more detailed story, then pitch your idea to the editor. We may be able to line up a reporter who can do a more in-depth story on your organization or group. Besides submitting or pitching story ideas, we, like many community newspapers, also have a weekly community calendar, which is published in print and online. The calendar is generally open to nonprofit groups only. So keep those submissions as short as possible with a few lines of text stating your organization, event, date, location, and the contact name and phone number that the general public can use to contact for further details. I hope this information has been helpful and useful to your group. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this feature.
Toastmasters International, again, has made it very easy for us to do press releases because we can download them right from the site. All you have to do, this is a template. They have quotes. This is a template for an open house, for example, and they have quotes, and you could just get somebody in your club to agree to say that, and then you can put their name in. It gives the who, what, when, where, why, and how, and it's just a brief one-pager that can go to the newspaper. So if they don't want to do a whole story, and many newspapers don't have the staff, they have a little mini story right in the press release, and they can say, oh, good, I can just pop this right in the newspaper. Believe me, Isabel and I have both been there.
Yes. Thanks, Susan. Can somebody give me some examples of other ways to get your message out? Yes, you in the back.
Hi, my name is Godfrey. I'm part of the corporate club, and we've been very successful in getting new members by putting stuff in the newsletter. So we have a
company newsletter for corporate clubs.
So it's very similar to this. And, it's been we've had a great response.
Great. Some other ideas? Flyers. Yep. Yep.
So I have a suggestion. And with this suggestion, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. So go to your local library with business cards, go into the Learn How to Speak section, and stick your business card in each and every book.
Oh, good idea.
Oh! Wow!
So clever.
We'll steal that one.
I have never heard of that. I love it.
Somebody down the back, Isabel.
I think that should be on the non-traditional.
Yeah, I was going to say that. We've had tremendous success just from our website and being on Google Maps, as well as make sure you're at the top of the Google search engine.
Website, Google Maps.
I'm going to jump in there for a moment. Just hold your thought. We have on on the Toastmasters International site is a create your own website template. And I'm going to show you at the very end of this presentation where you can go to find that. Once you have your website created, which is very important, you want to have it on the district site. I'm just going to click this because it takes a few minutes to come up. If I'm Googling for clubs, the district site will come up, and it has all the sites in BC, but fewer than 50% of all clubs in the province are actually on that site.
The coffee club newsletters that you find in coffee clubs, just have the go and get the name of your club when it meets in one of those. There's the free community calendars that the editor spoke about. Radio, public service announcement. Carol Carter has just launched a contest for creating a 30-second PSA, and there's a prize for it. And it's just launched, and there's information at our public relation table on that. Cable television. If you can get on the regular television, all the power to you. I'm impressed. Please let us know and let us know how you do it. And if you get into the daily newspapers, I will give you prizes. If you do something great, we'll find prizes for you. Toastmaster magazines. What do you do with your old Toastmaster magazines? One great idea is to put a sticker on them, the name of your club, when it meets, and come to a meeting for free. Leave them at doctor's offices, dentist's offices, the library, all about town, wherever you can think of. Special events. Hold an open house and publicize it. Get all kinds of publicity. I know in Campbell River, Katie, you attended that event that they did not too long ago, and they hold great open houses each year, and they get tons of guests. They have lots of food and a big hoopla and make it a great party. And then there's the other thing that Susan was talking about, and it's the guest book. And even if you just, like, at your meetings, have a simple little guest book for guests to sign in, and that's a great thing to do.
I'm going to go back to my site just for a second.
Okay.
So here's, again, the District 21 site, which everyone's website should be linked to. If I go clubs by city, for example, I'm going to go down to Langley. And this is what anybody tooling around looking for Toastmasters clubs, which is what we do often. We just go on the internet and type in Toastmasters BC. Here's the Langley Morning Toastmasters. So it's a great site. They have their, just comes up here. Here's their website. No, I'm sorry, that's their listing, and here is their website.
And they have a good video on that, about the young people and how to promote that. And I don't think we have time to show that today, but it talks about the fellow who went from zero to hero through Toastmasters and public speaking. It's powerful. There's Toastmasters Month is coming up in February. Mayor's Proclamation. get the mayor of your community to proclaim February as Toastmasters Month. So provide information for free. When Darren LaCroix and J.A. Gamache, how many of you guys get their free info letters? And you know what we like? Because they're free, they're not trying to pitch us all the time. But when you're ready to buy something, these guys are going to be top of mind, and you're going to go buy from them if you need their products. So that's another great way. Speechcraft, posters, youth leadership program that gets the information out when the youth are old enough, they can join Toastmasters.
Or their parents.
Exactly. And it works both ways. Susan has a daughter in university who's just joined Toastmasters. Targeted mail-outs to groups like, say, the RCMP or any, business people, because then you're specifically aiming at one group, and you're not just doing like splash all marketing, you're doing target marketing, which is far more effective. You're not diluting it. Sorry. And another thing we have in our community, and I'm going to go over this, we have Welcome Wagon. Nonprofits are allowed to put their information in Welcome Wagon for free, and that's what happens in Powell River. But I was told by somebody else in the Lower Sunshine Coast that it's not free for them, that they have to pay for them. Mm-hmm. So this is, I guess it varies from community to community. So I'm just clarifying that. Are you ready, Susan?
Yep. This is the District 21 Facebook page. Each club, especially if you have a lot of Facebook users in your club, should have a Facebook page. And with Facebook, we're kind of preaching to the choir because we have the page and then we have the members who have their own pages. What you have to do is you have to make sure you don't just put the information on the club page. You want to have every member who has a page post it on their wall. I actually got people come to a humorous speaking contest because I posted it on my wall and it went out to my hundreds of non-Toastmaster friends. What I'm going to say is we have a few more things here. We have Meetup and we have Google Maps and how to create the groups, and I'm going to email you the presentation about all the social media. So if you sign up at the end, you'll see it. And I just want to go back to my group, their Meetup, and you'll have information about how to do all these things.
Well, Google Maps is great too, Susan.
Yes, and this is LinkedIn, which is more for professionals, so you can easily create a LinkedIn group. And I'm taking you finally. This is a community directory. I'm taking you finally, oops.
The first time I started public speaking was when I was
YouTube
17.
videos.
I was asked to speak at my friend's graduation party. And let me tell you, I was scared.
Good to hear this guy.
They called me onto the stage.
That was the Langley Youth Group. So building a brand, Daniel, this is going to come up again maybe. This is the site, and I'll just quickly show you where all the materials are on the Toastmasters organization.
This is a fabulous site. There's so much.
You go to offer, can you see my cursor? You go to officer resources right there. And here you have the brand portal in the left. And there are all your logos, templates. The website, to create the website is actually in the middle, I believe. There, create your club or district website, free Toast Host websites. Because what we're doing is we're actually building a brand so that it looks professional and people know that we know what they're doing. This is the PR corner, and it has sample news releases, media center, social networking, lots of information. I really encourage you, if you haven't been on it, to check it out, and we'll be sending you the link. Over to you, Isabel.
Well, I think we're getting close to running out of time because we want to leave some time for questions now. But I just want to reiterate the fact that building membership is ongoing. Just because your club is healthy today doesn't mean it's going to be tomorrow. It's just the same as just because Susan is fit and slim today, if she doesn't keep working at it, she won't be fit and slim tomorrow. So she has to go to that gym and watch her diet. So it's like all of us. It's ongoing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for listening to us, and we'd like to open up the floor for questions, and we hope you have lots of them. Yes?
You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And we have the gentleman in the back from the corporate club.
I just kind of, I guess, have a question or a comment about Facebook. And I know, like, personally, I don't like when my picture shows up on Facebook. Have you got issues with that?
Using my own personal picture on Facebook?
No, like members of your club, that if you have a club Facebook page and you put a lot of pictures up, do you have people complain about it?
No, we don't, but that's a good point to make. I think before you take any pictures of members in your club, you have to ask their permission and say, are you guys comfortable with us, taking your photo and sharing it on Facebook? And somebody might say, no, I'm not. And so, okay, then fine, don't get in the photo. It's good to ask permission. It's common courtesy.
Our secretary has come up with a photo release form for people to sign.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I have a question. Although we have so many great tools to promoting Toastmasters, but in a very small club, how do you encourage all member or officer to do actual work to promoting this thing? Because all activity require tons of time and effort to do that. So what is your experience on motivating everyone?
Exercise your leadership skills and motivate, because these are skills that you can learn inside your club, take outside your club to the business world and to different activities, because Toastmasters, it's a great training ground for lots of things. Susan took on the editorship of the Link newsletter this year because she wanted to learn all these skills. It's a lot of work, but it's skill building.
I think also that you have to find the people in your club who like to do particular things. So you want to find the person that's on Facebook all the time. And you want to find somebody who's really skilled in LinkedIn or building websites or just going out and picking up the phone and talking to people. So it's really studying your club and seeing, oh, you like this and you like that. You don't want to have the really introverted person call on your cold calling list, right? You want to give them your social media maybe.
Oh, and I see Jennifer at the back there. Yes.
In my club, we're almost all women.
Yeah, that's true.
How can I market to men? Total contact.
Let's let the men in the group answer that one.
I think the men in the group need to answer that.
Yeah, that would work.
How about wanted a few good men for Toastmasters? And how are we for time? Do we have time for a few more questions? Okay, Debbie.
Just a bit of a comment, feedback on the gentleman who's concerned about how to get people involved. It's very easy to persuade somebody in the heat of the moment to do something, but always often get overwhelmed. And if I'm not mistaken, in the CL manual, you can achieve one of the objectives by taking on a membership. And we've made it that they do it for a month. That they take on the public relations and they make a target and they achieve it for the month, and that's how they complete that. And so it allows them to commit for a short period of time and not feel overwhelmed that this is something on their plate for 3 to 6 months.
That's a great idea. I really like that. Thanks for sharing that, because I never heard of that one, but I really like it, because then there's a definite end time. It's like, okay, I can do it. Like, I'm training for a marathon, I'm going to run it, it's over. Oh, great. Bob.
You need to be consistent in your message, where you place it, so people always know they can find the information on you. Because it is a scary thing, right? It's public speaking. Quite often, if you don't get results today, don't worry about it, right? Because a year down the road, 2 years down the road, someone's going to come to your door from something they found a long time ago. And to that guy who put the business cards in the books in the library, we did that in Camel River, but we made a bookmarks in all the books there. So.
Oh, that's great.
Those are great tips. Those are excellent. Yeah?
What did your new venue cost?
We got it for free from the school district because the superintendent of schools joined Toastmasters. That's marketing. And you know what? It's not a top of the line. I mean, it's a nice, their boardroom, in their school district office. I mean, it's a nice, convenient location, but it's not fancy schmancy. Yes, Stephanie?
I love that you talked about the targeting to certain groups aspect of things. And I know it's sometimes easier to kind of set up exactly what you want people to say. Do you have any great sites or great quotes or places that we can get quotes about how wonderful it is to be a Toastmaster? that we might be able to put into our releases?
We, at this stage, I don't have any sites where we can get great quotes, but that would be a nice project to collect a variety of quotes that we could use in the district in the future. I think that would be a great project to do.
And a club collection to start with.
That would be great because, I mean, most Toastmasters love quotes. I mean, we use them a lot, so I don't think that would be a hardship for most of us.
If you Google quotes, it comes up with a whole round.
Yeah, and then we go through our favorites and ones.
They have testimonials on the Toastmasters International website.
They do, and they're little videos of people who are talking about, you know, how they benefited from Toastmasters, and I'm sure there's...
One of the things we did on our website is actually put testimonials from the members.
Great.
Yeah, just right there.
It's perfect because as humans, it's human nature to say, well, if she can do this, and she's gone from here to here, I can do it too.
On the lower Sunshine Coast, three of us clubs are getting together to have a screening of Speak, and you can screen it for $150. And if you share that with a few other clubs, it's doable. And we're going to send out a release to the newspaper and stuff, and invite the general public, just so they can have a look at what Toastmasters is and not feel like they have to go to a meeting or anything like that, but just get a feel for it. So.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Paula.
I think this was tremendous. I've got 3 ideas that I wrote down myself. And when Isabel was talking about having a secure building, that's one of the issues that we face in our club. Is the building is, you have to sign in, and then you practically have to drop breadcrumbs to find your way back to the door after you get to the meeting room. So we always try and meet our guests at the door whenever we know that people are coming. And please join me now in thanking our presenters.
Thank you. Thank you.